Um, I guess good evening, everybody. I guess we can start and we can just get into it. I was thinking that maybe after getting the normal authentication to work, right? What are we going to do next, right? And all of that. So, I mean, it will be good for us to also maybe Samuel, good evening. So for those who are just joining, good evening, right? This is my live stream where I sort of like talk about JavaScript and I talk about React, JS, and all of that, and I try to build something right that we can all learn from. Yeah. So um we've been building something that I hosted here on Beauty Forever here. It's still very much, there's no landing page yet, but we have the register route. I need a logo that I can use. Hmm. We have the login page, and we also have the I think we have forgot password as well. We have the forgot password. Is it forgot hyphen password? We have the forgot hyphen password, and there's a problem here that I need to fix. I'm not sure whether I fixed it. Then we have the reset password flow as well. So what we want to do today is to add a little bit of extra layer, right? Using Auth.js, right? Auth.js, right? To add um providers, right? We're going to be adding providers with, I see that my PC is dragging, right? We'll be having providers, all hot providers with GitHub and with GitHub and maybe Google. I mean, the process should be something similar, right? For every other service, right? And I think the most important one is implementing pass keys. I've not done that before. I've not done the providers before as well using Node.js. So it's going to be a learning point for me today to just learn all of that as much as possible. So, for those who are just joining for the very first time, every Friday I talk about JavaScript, and every Saturday I talk about Next.js, and I also have my personal website here where I now put up on my writing. You can see like some of the last videos that I've done. I think the last thing we talked about was I think I have some videos to update here, but you can actually catch all the things I have done in the past few days on my personal website. And I should be releasing some fresh articles anytime soon as well. I also plan to do something about SVG. How many of us wants to learn SVG? Yeah, I plan to do something interesting with SVG. Um, and I also want to continue the data structures, introductions to data structures as well. So I'm going to be releasing something on the doubly linked list and queues, right? So there's a lot I have that I'm trying to do. I'll probably just put my thoughts together and be able to let everything put everything together in a way that makes sense for all of us to be able to benefit from there. So you can check all of this out as well. And I plan to also rebuild my website as well. I think I'm working on that on the side. I want my website to come with I mean to be next to JS. This is actually using Gatsby, but I want something that is going to use next to JS. Uh so yes, there's a lot I want to work on. There's a lot I plan to work on. All right. Yesterday I talked about classes in JavaScript, even though I don't think I I don't think I did a lot there, but I just talked about introduction to classes in JavaScript, right? There was nothing so serious. I think it was just 1 hour or so 1 hour video of introduction to classes in JavaScript. So if you don't know how to use classes in JavaScript, you can check it out as well. So yeah, that is that about that here. So let's get right into business today. We are building Next.js. We've been using Next.js for a while now, which actually has a lot of React inside, right? We're writing React, we're writing full stack HTML and CSS. Our CSS is with Tailwind. Yeah, and we're also writing some SQL as well on the side, right there. So the code base is on GitHub, right? If you want to know, follow through what I am building, GitHub, right? You can also follow. I've not posted the latest code to GitHub, but I should do that after today's episode. I should do that after today's episode, right? So we still have a lot of stuff to work on. You can see that we have a lot of stuff to work on, and it's a lot. I don't know if anybody wants to contribute. You can feel free to contribute as much as possible. Just let me know if you want to contribute to anything there. I think recently I also did something. I heard about Sonar. Is it Sonar Cube now? I don't even know what their name is. Sonar Cloud. Sonar Cube. Sonar Cloud is a kind of AI platform that helps me to validate all of the things that I'm doing, to do some checks on the code, right? The code that we're trying to do. And if you check my project here, you're going to see this project here, and you would see that it is flagging some issues, right? It's already flagging some issues, right? The whole idea is to ensure that we have we have um, we have quality, right? Just improve the quality of the code that we are writing. So it is flagging some codes, right? And I think I need to fix some of these issues as well, right? I mean, they're just common issues that is flagging there. Whenever remove these comments and some unnecessary things that I'm doing there. So it's just a way to improve the code efficiency as much as possible, right there. So again, that's another one on the side there. You can always do that with your project just to improve the efficiency. I think maybe we're going to write tests for this project as well, right? We can maybe start writing end-to-end tests with Playwright and maybe unit tests with Vite or Vite, just to get started, just to ensure that the code base is properly tested as well. So let's open VS Code and let's get into action. So to set up, just to set up, if we want to set up authentication with providers, what are the major essential like ingredients that we need? I think the major things that we need will be to um, in the auth JS configurations, right? We're going to be needing to there will be a need for us to there should be a need for us to uh, am I still audible? Am I still audible? I think I should be audible. Hmm. Okay, okay. All right. All right. So as part of what we intend to do, we need to get some ingredients up and running, which has to do with the configurations, right? The configurations of how this is how the provider is going to work. Again, we're going to rely so heavily on our we're going to rely heavily on the Auth.js documentation, right? Just for guidance there. I don't know why this is actually hanging up. WAP is hanging up my PC. I don't know why. WAP is trying to hang up my PC. I don't know why. Let's see. WAP is trying to hang up my PC. Uh, let's see. It's not even supposed to be this slow, right? It's not supposed to be this slow. think something is wrong somewhere. Right, something is definitely wrong somewhere. I'm coming. Just give me a sec. Give me a sec there. Let's get all of these things to work. Think that. Let's see. So we can do practice here. We can see the into next.js /beauty forever, and we can do a git status, right? And we can open our VS Code, but maybe we should just use, since everything is dragging, we can decide to use another another editor in place of VS Code. VS Code is actually very slow lately. That's why I prefer to use Z for many of the things I do. VS Code is pretty slow. Uh, that's why I often prefer to use Z. Yes. So this is Z, and it's been a while I've used Z, but Z often work fast. You can see that it popped up a little bit faster. And we have this here. So we're back to some of the configurations that we need to do here. And the first thing in the configuration here is that we want to configure our hot. There should be a hot JS right here, right? Hot config.ts, that we want to configure this to enable it to be able to use credentials. So I'm just going to rely on the documentation to guide me. I hope this will work. Let's click on getting started. We want to use Next.js, right? And we want to use providers, we want to use the providers, and the provider that we want to set up is G for GitHub. And in here, the first step is what we are creating a whole hot app on GitHub. So we need to go to GitHub to create a whole hot app on GitHub. The next step will be to authorizing the whole hot app. Then on GitHub as well, we need to configure the whole hot app. And yes, I think that is all that we need to do. Then we would have a URL that looks like this that we can work with, and we're going to need these two environment variable from the whole hot app. And then we also need this configuration. We'll just copy this to be inside of our auth.ts. We can copy this to be inside of our auth.ts. So this is our auth.ts. We're going to copy this and bring this in here. And the next thing that we're going to do is what, at the end of this here, we can then have GitHub, right? Let's just put this here like this, GitHub. Okay, so we don't need to call it a function. I could just pass GitHub based on what the documentation said there. So what do we need to install? We need to install, okay, we don't need to install anything because we installed Nextauth already, and there should be this GitHub there. However, we need to set up our environment variable. I'm going to take that off screen so that I can set that up on another screen. Let's see there. We want, but I'm just going to show the process of the setting up. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the process of the setting up as much as possible. Let's comment all of this out. I'm trying to get rid of all the tabs that I'm not using. I'm trying to get rid of all of the tabs that I'm not using. Okay, I hope the experience is going to be a lot more smooth now. So here we should be able to come to our GitHub here, and I think, I'm not sure what is under settings, but we should be able to check settings and check the OAuth applications. OAuth. Let's see, is it under developer settings? Yes, under developer settings, we have OAuth app, and we can create a new application, and we can say beauty forever. And we can see that the URL is https colon what beauty forever.jhem.com, and a sample e-commerce application, web app application with Next.js and what Auth.js. We need the authorization callback URL, right? So let's just put it here and say http localhost colon 3000 / I think it's supposed to be / API / can it accept localhost? I think you should be able to accept the local host. You should be able to accept local host for us to be able to test. It should be without S. And we can register this application. And let's take this off. Let's just take this off screen here. Right. And we can add on the logo later on. Right. We can copy our client ID. We can generate a new secret as well. Uh, we can generate a new secret. Yes, I'm actually generating a secret on another screen. All right, we can also copy the secret as well. And, yeah, I think we have everything that we need. You can list your application on market so that users can do it. Okay, so I think that is the major thing, and also need to we also need to we need to set up the environment variables. I think I've copied the exact environment variables as well. We need to set up environment variables. We've not copied that. For environment variable is actually let's see. We can copy this environment variable. This is the way it expects the environment variable to come in. And I can open another interface of another interface of, let's see, just to copy and set everything up. So I'm going to add the environment variables to I'm going to add environment variables to the project, right? We add environment variables to the project. And if we had environment variables to the project, we can do, let's just say, open with, is it open with now? Quick action, service, new terminal, like this. So we're just going to open a new terminal instance, and that is going to a new terminal instance is going to open behind the scene here, right? And I'm trying to set up all the necessary details, environment variables. So I can do Z of .env, yes, special. Let's see, this is not what we want you to do. We don't want you to open it up here. So we can say we want you to open it with code, and let's just do env here. And let's just see if we are able to use this. I can take this off screen. Off screen. And I can set up the two environment variables. So the secret, setting up the secret. and um, and then we're going to the set up the secret, and we're also going to set up the client ID. Set up the secret and set up the client ID, and that should be it. Uh, yeah, we're good now with the environment variables. What else do we have to set up here? So, is that everything that we need to do? Uh, Maybe. What is the next thing to do? Let's see. Cohort. Hmm. The next thing to do will be what? We've registered the cohort dashboard, and we've set up the environment variables. We've done this auth.ts, add the handler, which is next auth returns to your route. I think we should have this handler as well configured if I'm correct. Let's check. Do we have in our app? We don't have the handler set up. Yeah, I think we have the handler as well. We have the handler set up. And what else? Then we can add in the button, and when we add the button, we can just do the sign up here. So we need a way to handle this. If the user selects, I think, how are we going to handle this now? I'm thinking of a good way to handle this where we're able to route our users to hmm, good evening, boss. We need a way to handle this. Maybe we are going to just say if somebody clicks on how do we handle this now? What is the best way to route a user to just use GitHub alone? Maybe we have a state variable to hold the kind of authentication that we want to do, right? Such that if the kind of authentication that people clicked on is the GitHub button, then we automatically set this type of authentication to this. So let's see what we can do. So what I'm saying here is that if you check the UI, if we check our UI and we check our login, we want to find a way to dictate, like if you click on, let's say if you click on, where's the GitHub icon here? If you click on this GitHub icon here, we want to maybe set up a let's see, how can we handle this in a way that it's not going to conflict? Because right now we have this authenticate here, right, which is the action that we already set. We've set up this action already. We set up the action. Let's just take these two things out here. Let's take it to the bottom. We don't need them right here. Let's take this to the bottom right there. Yeah, I think I just moved that to the bottom, right? So we have the bulk of our work right here. Is the code legible for us to see? Um, yeah, the code should be legible for everybody to see. Hmm. Because we have this authenticate already, which is handling normal credential authentication, which is with your password and email. But we want to be able to detect the kind of authentication that we're trying to do, so that if it is, say, if the authentication type is what, say maybe something like if alt type is equals to maybe if alt type is equals to maybe something like GitHub, and that's when we want to use the GitHub authentication, right? And then we want to do a signing. What is the documentation say? Then you just want to do an await signing GitHub, right? So we need a variable called alt type. Let's see. Hmm. I'm thinking of the best way to work this out, because we have the normal credential here. So we want this to probably handle like GitHub authentication, right? And how do we get this auth type? Or how do we set a variable called this auth type, so that should we attach it to the form data? Should we attach it to the form data? Uh, that's interesting. I don't know if anybody has any idea. Anybody has any idea? Hmm. Let's see. Let's check our actions. This is our actions. How do we handle this process? I know that the last time we did this, we did a check on, yeah, we could do the attaching with, let's say credentials, or Google, Google, or we can do passkeys, passkeys here, passkeys, and the default is credentials, right? Default is credentials. I understand just a bit of what you're doing. Never used .js before. Okay. Let's check the documentation one more time to see how to pass. I know that I checked it the last time. Next.js passing, um, Next.js passing props, passing value to form actions. I know we talked about the dot bind, right? We talked about the dot bind. right? The dot bind or using the form data. Those were the two options that we have. It's either we use the dot bind, right? It's either we use the dot bind it's either we use the dot bind. Yes, it's either we use this dot bind here to get the extra parameter that we are sending, or let's see. Let's try the dot bind. Let's try the dot bind this time around. I know the last time we streamed, we tried the dot bind. We tried the dot bind and it didn't work well. So what the dot bind will do is that we want to create const authenticate. Let's just bump this up a little bit. Authenticate with auth type, with auth type, with hot type, with hot type is equals to what? Authenticate dot bind, right? And we are binding null to the context, and I think we can then bind we can bind based on the documentation here. They said we can bind, we can then bind auth type. So we need this auth type to be a state, auth type to be a state. Yeah. And that was what I was trying to do here. Maybe we can just see that this auth choice can also take GitHub. Maybe we can say it will also take GitHub, or it can also take Google. So we have email, magic, passkeys. I don't know whether this is correct though. So maybe we can call this credentials, magic, passkeys, GitHub. And we can set the default to be credentials. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing, but let's hope this works. Auth choice. And instead of using the authenticate here, we can then pass what? Authenticate with auth type. Hmm. We have our action here is saying that the auth type must come first. The auth type must come first, followed by our what? The auth type must come first, followed by form data, followed by the form data. GitHub, credentials, Google, passkeys, and magic link, magic. So let's see if this is going to work. What do you think? So maybe we can console.log the auth type here. Console.log the auth type. The auth type to see whether it is going to give us. So we need a way to set. So if we click on, uh, so if we click on, let's just say this is credentials. So if we click on the button, right? Let's say we just click on this button. Uh, we want the button to do two things. I think I saw it somewhere that how can we use a button to trigger form actions? We need a way to use the button to trigger the form actions. We need a way to use the button to trigger the form action. We need a way to use button to trigger the form action. Okay, I think we can use this approach. So let's try this now. Let's try this. Honestly, this is really tough. It is tough than I think I expect it to be. Uh, we want to do const, maybe handle GitHub, and you want to do something like this. No, this cannot work. I'm not sure this can work. This cannot work. We want to have our event, right? And we want e dot prevent default, and then we want to do e dot current target dot form, right, dot what, authenticate dot action, let's see, dot e dot current action dot, I think we can say, we can pass the authenticate with type here. And let's see if we are able to pass in GitHub here. Might not even need this auth choice, but let's still set this auth choice. So we can say set auth choice. Let's set auth choice to a GitHub, and our we're going to type you later on, but let's see whether this is going to work. And we can then pass this handle GitHub, pass the handle GitHub to the on click here. So we can take this href out, and then we can say on click, we want to handle this. Even though I am certain that in React 19, this is going to break React 19. Is it going to break React 19? I'm not sure. React 19 might break. React 19 is going to be giving us a warning anytime we're trying to call an async handler. Let's see. Let's try this. It's worth trying. That's why we're writing code. We're just going to try. Let's start our server. Let's start the server. Cross my heart and see whether this will work. Yes, it is some serious trouble that we're about to cause now. Hmm. Hmm. Where's our browser? Localhost 3000. Localhost 3000. Hmm. Are we authenticated? This is too slow for my liking. This is just too slow. I guess the default server action pattern is defined in here. You've got a few options. You can use this. Um, mm, banana. Let's see. Let's see what is going on. I actually got something to work as well. Can you see? I got this to work. Can you see that nice toast? But it has a problem. I did the setting up of the toast, but I've not implemented it. But I just did the setting up. So we're going to use the toast to handle many of the things that we're doing here. So I mean, it looks beautiful, right? We would use the toast to handle some of the things that we're going to do. /login. I'm also going to show us how I got the toast wired up. Spawning a lot of times. Yes, I was the one who clicked it multiple times. Yeah, clicked it multiple times. Yes, beautiful. Yes, we need some toast to make the whole application a bit better. Why is it taking 1 million times here? Taking 1 million times to load. So if we click on this here, that's the thing that we need to click on. Okay, we have a good error here. What is the error? What is the error? Why do we have error first on this page? I think I know what is wrong. The buttons are not clickable yet. The buttons are not clickable. I need to change the buttons. The buttons are disabled. The buttons are disabled. So let's see. Let's just make the button. Let's see. Let's just copy the button that we have here. Let's just copy it here. And that should work. This. Hmm, let's see something first. I need to see why the button is always disabled by default. Okay. Full data hover. We don't want to set data hover. Let's just do without the over details and the active details for now. Uh, let's see. Hmm, Let us see what we have here. Do we have outline here? Do we need the outline? No, we don't need the outline. At least I think. Okay, it is showing a error, and I think the error is on the front end. The error is on the front end. It's not logging anything. The error is on the front end. Uh, this is too slow. Cannot read properties of null or authenticate with type. Okay, so let's see what is wrong with our. I think I know what might be the problem again. Is it not saying these actions? Let's console.log current target dot. Let's console.log e dot current target. Let's see what is going on there. If you click on this, what do we have for our current target? Oh, sorry. Current target is the button. Then we want it to now have current target. E dot current target. It can't be current target in this case now. So to get the form, we should be able to get our he. Let's log the he. Let's log the he. I'm not sure. We should be able to call the authenticate directly. But let's try. Let me just try to log the e. So here we have the event. The event here, we should be able to get the form here. Target. How do we even get the form from the event actions again? I can't even remember. But there should be a way to get. Let's think. I check target, e dot target. Why is current target even null? That is absolutely false. It says target is that. And can we get the form? The form element is null. Yes, because dot closest form. Can we get the form by specifying closest? Because we need to get the closest e dot closest. Yeah, closest form. Let's see how we can do this. E dot target current target dot closest let's see, of form. We want to get a form. Let's just do this here. E dot current target dot closest form. So the idea is that try to find the closest form to that button and log that. Let's see whether there is a form on the page. I mean, this looks like we are hacking. Well, it doesn't look smooth. Doesn't look any smooth. Doesn't look any smooth. Huh. Is it closest element or closest now? Let's see dot closest. Closest JavaScript. Hmm. There should be an element dot closest, right? And what does this do? Is the interface that traverses the element and its parent towards the document root until it finds the node that matches. So it's a global. So if we're here, we find the closest element that closest to ID this. It's going to get this. The closest ancestor with ID this is this. Uh, so it means that, okay, let's see closest. I even missed the spelling there. Yes, yes. We should work as well here. Okay, it's telling us null. That's interesting. We're getting a nice null. E dot, let's just say E dot closest. Yeah, closest will not work here, so we need a target. A target or okay. Can I do parent element? E dot parent element dot oh sorry, E dot target dot parent element. E dot target dot parent element. Oh, let's see. This is getting interesting. I'm not sure we have parent element, but let's see. Okay, also getting a nice null. Let's just log the target and let me see something. Hmm. Let's. I think we can do this here, right? Inside our work here and do $0. $0 should be pointing to, what is $0 pointing to? Let's just select this here. Let's just select this. Reveal in the element tab. So this is our, we want to select this in the element tab, and $0 should be pointing towards that. Then can we do dot parent element on U? So what is the parent element catching? Parent element is just catching the div that is wrapping that. Can we then get the closest form? See any form, right, that is close to you? Hmm. Oh, let's see that parent again. What kind of hacking am I trying to do? This is another very interesting hacking that I'm trying to achieve here. dot closest. I think I can do a query selector. Dot query selector of what form? Okay, it's picking the form. And can you pick the form and give me the let's say authenticate undefined authenticate with type. Let's just copy this here, or let's try closest instead of copying this. Dot closest form dot form. I know I can't use this though. This is not actually we should be able to work with, so we cannot work with that's interesting. So it has to be query selector. At least just to get the form, I can use this to get the form. And so this should log the form. And if that logs the form, that is supposed to log the form. Why is it not logging the form? Okay, something is logging the form now. Okay, it has to be request submit. Shit. So request submit is not just, it has to be form dot request submit. Okay, I see. Dot request submit. Oh, that's interesting. So it's also going to block that. Good evening, Rolla. So it's also going to block the submit as well, because we have some validation. It's checking the form data for some things. Okay, so I can see where the blocker is happening there. So that is very, very interesting. Request submit is not going to work. Based on this documentation, the request submit is not going to work. So basically, we need to find a way to, I mean, this should be possible. This shouldn't be so much of a problem. Why is this proving very stubborn here? I'm thinking. It definitely means that we need to find a way to take out the forms, the inputs that are, we need to take away the input based on the kind of authentication that we are having. If it is credential, I think this is supposed to be credential, and there should be word piece here. So where the problem is coming from is because the buttons is not inside of the form, right? The buttons are not inside of the form, and we want to trigger the actions to happen. The buttons are not inside of the form, yet we want to trigger the actions to happen. So I created this handler hoping that the handler is going to help us to be able to trigger that. But based on the criteria, I could hide all of the form. If we set our auth choice, we could set this right. Let's see something I could do. I could set the auth choice to be, let's just say form group. So if our auth choice is, if the only time we need the input will be what if the auth choice is equals to auth choice is equals to credential. That's the only time we need this credentials. For those who are just joining, I'm trying to implement we're trying to implement um we're trying to implement OAuth with GitHub using Auth.js, right? And that is proving to be very, very difficult to achieve. Right. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. So hiding the form input, I got this here, right? I got this GitHub here. But then I think I have something. I think I have something. I think I have something. Okay. This is getting interesting. I think something might be working. Hmm. If your browser does not redirect you, please visit the setup page. My browser does not redirect me because the browser is still loading. The browser is still loading. It's trying to call. Okay, I guess it locked us in because it routed us to the dashboard. What? That was pretty fast. So let's see what we did there to make the whole hacking. I mean, that's not actually, I mean, I don't think what we did was actually good, but it was so hacking. Like, yeah, it was not the best. I don't think it's the best of the best implementation. And I need to think about it now in a different way. But I'm certain that this thing that we wrote here works. This handle GitHub works. The handle GitHub works, yeah. So we want to do console.log this, copy this here. Uh what do we call this kind of code now? This is like we are hacking something to make something work. So let's try to log it again and see. Let's try to log out. Let's clear site data. I need to implement logout. So for those who are just joining again, we're just trying to see how we can implement this because these buttons, would it have been good to put these buttons inside of the form? Would it have been good to put these buttons inside of the form? Honestly, I'm having to think about it. Would it have been good to put this inside of the form? Yeah. I also don't think so as well. I don't think so. So it is not working inside of. It is not working. Is it working? I don't even know whether it is working. It is not redirecting. It is working, but it is not redirecting. I think so. Let's see. Can I try this one more time? Uh, so I think I know what is going on. I'm sure that this console.log works. I think so. Current target. Let's try the current target here. And is it an await operation? I'm not sure. It's an await operation. Let's see. Yes, I think it works now. Yeah, it works now. I think the reason why it is slow is because of my PC. I think so. I want to believe that the reason why it is pretty much slow is because it is on my PC. I want to believe that is the case. So if we refresh this, yeah, let's try one more time. Okay, there's a problem. It doesn't work. It doesn't work as it should work. There is a problem. It doesn't work as it should work. Does not work as it should work. Even though I clicked twice. Definitely, I'm supposed to disable the clicking, right? So that we can click twice. We're supposed to disable the clicking so that we can click twice. Hmm. So this is what is going on. It's either it is taking a while for the thing to happen, or something is not working as it is expected. Uh, this is so the first click, it did not work as expected. That's the first click. So the first click did not work as expected. But the second click then goes ahead to work. The first click does not work as expected, but the second click then goes on to work. And let's see what we have for the session here. So where's this stored? Where's the token stored in this operation? Where's the cookies stored? Okay, callback URL token here. I don't know what I need to do to make this behave as it should. But something is up somewhere. Let me check the documentation one more time to see what I'm missing there. And I can use effect to invoke the action as well. But I don't like this. I'm not sure I like this though. I'm not sure I like that. Uh, let's see again. Let's try to figure out where the right problem is coming from. For the very first time, it doesn't work. That's my console. For the first time, it doesn't work. I think I know why. I think I have an idea why it is not working, but it works the second time. It doesn't work the first time because by the time this first line happens, it is just setting this one to be GitHub. It is just setting this auth choice to be GitHub. So whenever we are setting this auth type for the first log, I don't think it sees the auth type. I think so. The like what I think is that by the time it's run the first time, it has not completely setting this auth type. It does not complete that process. So if I want that process to speed up, uh, we can use the prev and pass it an arrow function. And then inside of this place now, let's see what this does. So instead of using the normal approach of set or choice, I'm using the initializer approach such that this is a function that it can quickly try to run. But I'm not even sure we need this though. But the only reason why we need the set auth choice will be uh, because we are passing that auth choice. Let us see what happens here. It doesn't work again for the very first time, but it's going to work the second time. It doesn't work the first time. And I need to catch the bug that is at work there. Yes, it doesn't work the first time. And it's going to work the second time. So that's the second time. How do I fix this problem? It doesn't work the very first time. let's do some bugs hunting. The bugs hunting that we need to do is to bring React components to come here, right? And we want to check what is going on with our component. And we want to check login form, right? We want to check the login form. And by default, our credential is set to GitHub. So if you set it the very first time, it only sets it to GitHub the first time. And it's until the second time, it's until you now call it the second time that the action picks up. So that's where the bug is lying down. The bug is lying down somewhere there. So we need a way to I need a way to set this process to happen instantly, right? That's the first process. Like we need a way to make this happen, right? Almost instantly. And I think let me check the logs here. Auth type will be logging auth type will be logging an empty object, an empty string the very first time. It should be logging an empty string the very first time we call it. And it's not also able to call this. So let's see whether the credential was called the very first time. That's what I need to check. I need to check. So we need our React component to come into the picture. Need the React component to come into the picture, right? We have the login form. So this time around, it is credential as it is loading. I think we need to bring this into a use effect to make use effect fire. Let's try to set up a use effect to be inside of the form here. But let me check the behavior one more time before I definitely use a use effect. So here, this button sets it to this. If I send this now, the first time, it sets to GitHub, right? But it sets to GitHub, but it ran into an error. So let's see what the logs is saying. It's called a provider. I want to see. So our auth type ran with Magic the very first time, and it caused an error. This is a very, very beautiful problem that I've inherited here. Mm. I'm thinking about this here. Let's see what we have. Login form. So we can see the previous search problem here. So if we set this here, I think if we check the logs here, so that first on-click button, the first undo click button, let me check whether this was called. So we need I need to check whether this was even called the first place. Console.log. Yes, I'm sure it was clicked though, because that is where the setting is happening. Undo GitHub was clicked. All right. Hmm. Better still, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's make this. And we can return GitHub, and we can console.log prev. See what the value of prev is here. Prev. Right, to see what the value of prev is here. So let's see our console, and let's see our components. Let's refresh this. Login form. Right. So if we call this the very first time, it's called the handle GitHub, and it ran with credentials. And because we are not handling, and the problem because we're not handling that thing here, that's the error that I'm having. That's the issue that I'm facing. e.current.this here. So I have two problems here. This approach is very, very wrong. It is pretty much very wrong. Not like it's wrong, but it doesn't look ideal. There should be better ways to handle this. There should be better ways to handle this. Uh, So what I'm looking for is, by the time this binding happens here, by the time this binding happen with auth choice, our auth choice is first default value, which is credential. So if we have a use effect, but we need, if we have a use effect, it's going to add some extra layer of an extra layer of trouble, right? That is, let's say we want to be tracking when the set auth changes, right? And instantly invoke something. I'm not sure I like what I want to do. Use effect. But let's see if that is my only hope to get this error out of the way. So we want to track whatever happens to auth choice, right? From use effect, console.log auth choice, and so based on auth choice, we want to, based on whatever happened in auth choice, then we want to trigger the action. Based on whatever happened inside auth choice, we want to trigger the use effect. Based on whatever happened inside of this place, we want to trigger the what use effect. Based on whatever happened inside of what. So here we want to have a function, maybe handle GitHub. So let's see, it picked handle GitHub, right? And this is what we cannot do. We cannot be setting inside of this use effect. So we want to set it outside. Let's see if the setting outside works. All right, set auth choice to be GitHub, and we want to, and I think we don't need to use this Aki thing anymore. Then we want to do um authenticate with what? Authenticate with auth type, and set that to be this here. Let's see what the documentation says again. Um, what is auth choice expecting us to do? Expected one argument. GitHub. Is it GitHub that is expecting me to pass or form data? It's expecting us to pass form data. Argument of type string is now assignable to form data. So it's expecting me to get our form data. How can we get our form data in this position? We don't have access to the form data at this level. Even though we don't need the form data at this level. Or maybe we should write a separate authentication function for to handle the GitHub. I mean, that would have been very smooth. That would have been very smooth inside of the action. So instead of cramping everything up to be inside this place, yeah, then we can, so it would save me the auth type problems, right? It's going to save me the whole auth types problem that we're trying to work on. Yeah. So we want to say maybe a function authenticate with what? With GitHub, right? GitHub, and you want to call this and paste this inside right here, and we want this to be export async, right? And what else do we need to do here? So this is definitely going to be, we can go back inside the login form and take out all of this noise. Take out all of this noise that we are having here. And this is going to be auth with authenticate with GitHub, and you're just passing the GitHub string. I mean, we're just calling a function here, basically. We don't even need the he anymore, and we can then call the function below here and say undo GitHub. So what is this problem now? Yeah, we're going to import that from our actions. So we can then import authenticate with GitHub. And I'm not sure if this is a good way to go. What do you think? What do you guys think? If this is a good way to go about this. Definitely looks like another Aki Panky. Yes, it looks like another hacking is about to happen. Let's refresh this. Why is use effect is logging me in automatically without clicking the button? That's true. That is the code I wrote. I actually wrote the code to log me in. Use effect is logging me in automatically. Oh my god. I need help. Use effect is dancing on its own. The use effect is dancing on its own. So I think I know what is missing in the approach. The approach here, what is missing here is where's the form? What is missing here is this is going to be, this is what is going to set this is going to set, this is supposed to just set, let's call this to just set something. So this does the setting to GitHub. Then we tell use effect to not set anything. We need to tell use effect not to set anything. And it's until I click on the undo click, which sets me to GitHub. That's when I want use effect to kick in. Again, it's another hacking, but welcome to the world of hacking. It is the world of hacking. Just hacking everything together to see if it's gonna make sense. But I think it should work now. I'm positive. I'm positive with this approach. I'm positive. Because what made GitHub, what made the use effect dance on its own was because there was a set auth to GitHub, right, that fired everything up. So when we click on undo, right, this is supposed to be, so this undo GitHub is going to do the set auth choice to GitHub. That's the work of this button. Wow, why are we still loading? Please release our UI. Or is use effect running endlessly? I think the use effect is running endlessly. Or the cycle of use effect is running endlessly. So I need a if statement to guide this use effect. Use effect has not stopped dancing. If auth choice is what? If auth choice is, if auth choice is equals to what? GitHub. If auth choice is GitHub, that's when I need you to stop dancing and allow me to write code. GitHub use effect. Let's see. So this way we can protect it from dancing and dancing. We can protect this from dancing forever. Use effect. Use effect. No, not again. Not again. Let's see. Let's say I'm not positive. I'm not positive again. Let me change what I said. Use effect, can you allow me to do what I want to do? So right now, auth choice is credentials. So if I click on this sets me to GitHub and use effect takes over. Yes, sort of. Yes, but again, it looks like hacking, true. But because there was a slight delay. It was just like I was waiting for use effect to happen. And that's the part that makes the experience not good enough, because I was waiting on, obviously we are at the mercies of the use effect to run, right? We are at the mercies of use effect to run. What do you think about this approach, Nifemi? Rolla, what do you think about this? It saves some problems. I think it solved some problem. It's a lot more clean than the other approach that we have tried, though. I'm not sure. It's a lot cleaner. Is it a lot cleaner? I think it's better than the other one that we did. This is hacking, none else. So what we're trying to do here is like, again, we're trying to use this undo GitHub to call the set auth choice, and then we are waiting on use effect. So what will happen here is if we have another auth approach, we're also going to have another use effect. We're going to write another action for that. So we will have something like, if auth choice is GitHub, carry this thing out. If auth choice is email or magic link, carry this approach out. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel violated because use effect is going to violate me. Use effect is going to spoil the whole code base. Use effect is going to spoil everything. Let's see. Something is setting the index TB. Is it the GitHub authentication that is setting? It's let's see. Let's try it one more time. Let's see the experience. Let me try one more time and see the experience. So here, let's see our logs here. So the moment we set this here, we are begging use effect to kick in. And it's not that bad now. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. Because it's even very fast. I mean, why am I not going to be happy? Because my code is running. Because something is running. Right? Because something is running, at least I'm happy. I don't know how this looks like. I don't know how this looks like. So if I want to handle GitHub now, it is safe to say that I can say auth choice equals to Google, right? If auth choice is equals to Google, then I want to handle something that looks like this. What? So we need auth with Google. So auth with Google is going to now be inside of our actions, right? I'm going to think about this throughout the week and see if I can make this a little bit better. I'm going to think about it and do some research, right? If I can improve the experience, and I'm going to reach out to maybe other friends that can help here. So this is just going to be authenticate with Google, right? Google, and we're just going to put Google here, right? And all that we need to do to make Google work is that we want to go to auth.ts, set up the Google provider, right? And we can then pass Google, right? So, and for Google to work, what do we need for Google to work? What do we need for Google to work? Authenticate with Google. Let's see. What do we need for Google to work? If we come back to our auth providers here, let's pick a provider that we want to use. Right, the provider we want to use here is Google. Google. So we're going to need to go to Google OAuth dashboard so that we can copy the auth. Just going to copy this, right? Yeah, we've done this, and yeah, so it should be easy to add. It should be easy to add. Let's see, Google developer. What's the URL to the Google developer dashboard again? Google developer dashboard. The Google OAuth dashboard. What is the URL? What is the URL to Google OAuth dashboard? Let's see. Google OAuth dashboard. I think it's safe to say that it can be improved. I think it can be improved since there's a small lag. The lag there is my concern, but maybe if I push it to production and check the experience, right, I will be able to confirm, right, what and what is going on. But let's see. So yeah. What is the OAuth now? I can't. How do we get to the OAuth? OAuth dashboard. OAuth. OAuth. Let's see. OAuth. Uh, okay, so I think I should be able to create a OAuth. Yeah, OAuth. Create a new credential, then the OAuth client ID. And it's a OAuth. It's just a web application. And the name is Beauty Forever, and authorized origins. Let's just put localhost for now. HTTP colon localhost 3000 colon 3000, right? Add this URI. And the other one is going to be what? HTTPS colon forward slash beauty forever jm.com. So I'm just setting the OAuth content up, right? I'm setting the OAuth content up on another screen, and I'm setting the OAuth consent screen on another hop, and http colon forward slash forward slash localhost colon 3000 localhost colon 3000. I think we can do this. So we have our client ID, and then we have our client secret. So let's see. I have this copied. We've copied the client ID. And have we copied the secret? Let's see. So we have copied the client ID, then we need to copy the client secret. We copy the client ID, then we need to copy the client secret. So I would need to add the env variables. To add the env variables. And for the client ID, we can paste this here. For the client ID, we can paste this. And for the secret, we can paste this. So let's try the Google, right, as well. And let's see whether it's going to work. I'm going to start. Let's just confirm one more thing quickly. Did we copy the right thing? So this is supposed to be what? This is the secret, and the other one is the ID here. So, and Next.js is supposed to restart the server. Next.js is supposed to restart the server, right? And we want to go into the form. There is the GitHub. There is the GitHub link here, right? We need the on-click, right? Who's supposed to set auth choice to be what? Set auth choice to be Google, and we want use effect to pick up whatever happens. So if we use this here now, let's just see. Is something missing? Hey, access is blocked. The app's request is invalid. You can't sign in because your app sent an invalid request. Please try again. If you're a developer using this app, see the error details. URI mismatch. Okay. But you see how slow that was. It was very slow. Like the whole process was very slow. I think it is expecting, the problem there is expecting something that matches this URL. It's expecting something that matches this URL. So we need to edit the redirect URL, and then we can save this. So let's go again. Let's go again. Can we resubmit this? And it should work now. Okay, it's not gonna work. Doesn't want us to use this. Let's go back to the app. Take me back to my application. And if I click this, default is credential, right? Okay. Warning, GitHub is trying to do this there. All right. So I guess it also worked as well. It also worked as well. The process there should be is trying to, yeah, it's trying to redirect us to the dashboard, right? So that also worked. However, it is still Aki Panky. It is still Aki Panky. So hopefully I get like a better alternative to make this work. Yeah. And the next one will be to sign in with the magic link. The next one will be to sign in with the magic link. What kind of hacking am I doing here? This hacking here looks terrible. So when you double click here, if you double click this button here, it should change. We want this to change to so what was I trying to do here? So if I want to use magic link, let's see what magic link is all about. Magic links. My time is up, right? I'm almost running. I should be finishing the stream. But I hope we have learned something today. At least if you have not learned anything, you've learned how to carry out a Akipan kitten. That is another new word. It's a Akipanki. It's a Akipanki process of making something work. We can use Node Mailer. We can use, I mean, these are beautiful providers. But we have Resend configured already in the code base. So let's just see if we can make this to work very fast. Let's see if we can make this to work very fast. We don't have choice now. This must come via, because we need our credentials, we need form data for this one to happen. So there is no way. Yeah, is there a way? I have to find a way to move the magic link button. Oh my God. This is a serious problem for me to do. We're back to the same problem if we want to make the magic links to work. Let me check the web authentication part. Yeah. I think maybe we can call it a day, right? At least we can say we tried. We tried to do some things, even though they don't look very good. But we did some hacking where we were able to get the Google and the GitHub working, right? And I know that the next thing would be to figure out how to make the magic link work and how we also want to make our passkey work, right? And I think Auth.js is pretty much straightforward. Or what do you think about Auth.js? I mean, it looks pretty straightforward. There's a lot of things that they are doing behind the scene. And if you also want to know all the things that they are doing behind the scene, you want to open up the npm package or open up the GitHub, their GitHub profile to see what they are doing behind the scene that is making everything work. All right. Um, all right. Thank you for joining the stream. I think Nifemi stood with me to the end, Rolla stood with me to the end, and every other person that we don't know, whether we have people watching on LinkedIn or watching on Twitch. We just want to say thank you for joining us. I think during the week I would find time to see if I can make the other two work, and I'm going to show you the implementation when next we stream. So it's been amazing few hours of learning, and I do hope you would have a wonderful night rest. Enjoy the rest of your night. If Bosse is still on the stream as well, thank you so much for joining, and every other person, right, that is going to watch this later. For every other person that's going to watch this later as well, thank you for joining as well. All right, good night and enjoy the rest of your night.